Hello everyone, this is Allie from The Mystic and the Monk. I am the mystic part of our partnership, and we have a community called Mystic and the Monk. We'll give you details at the end of this video. So what I'm going to share with you today is a little bit about past lives through a story that I'm going to share with you and an experience that I had. And I was working in my spa at the time. I was a massage therapist and a healer and a mystic, psychic intuitive. And I was to give a woman a massage who had shared that she was really suffering from anxiety. And so when I laid my hands on her, I said, I'm getting a lot of impressions. Do you mind if I share? And I asked her if she had a daughter, and she said she did. And I asked her if her daughter had been suffering from depression as well, and she said yes. And I said, I'm getting the impression that she actually died in an experience in the 40s where she was kidnapped and she was decapitated. And she remembers being thrown in this trunk. So she's going to be a bit claustrophobic, and she's going to have a fear of being kidnapped or being swept away from you. And so she said she's really dealing with separation anxiety issues. But what you say, Allie, is so significant, is I wanted to rent a limo for her birthday party last week. And she reacted so, what I thought was overreaction, she said. And she said, Mommy, no big black cars. And so she said, I can't believe you just told me that she was kidnapped, in a big black car. So I said, it gets a little bit more complicated. The decapitation part is, what I'm picking up on is you decapitate people's heads metaphorically. But what this goes back to is a past life where your family was in a royal position. I wouldn't say like a king, but some kind of position like a royalty, whatever the ethnic background is. I couldn't quite tell. But you, specifically you, were kind of like the Queen of Hearts, where you said quite often with your action and your words, off with their head. And so she looked at me and she said, I'm going to be honest with you. I really relate to that because I metaphorically cut people's heads off all the time. People have told me, I feel like you just cut my head off. And she said, oh my God. And she said, I'm feeling a little bit worried because I realize that I've been living this way. And how do I heal this if I've killed people this way? And so I just waited for a little bit more information. And I said, you have this in your family. They're telling me that, people in your family have died of decapitation, right? And she said, oh my gosh, Allie, seems like it should be obvious, but I've had 2 people in my family die of decapitation in this life. One was in a car accident, and another was a freak accident with a helicopter blade flying off the helicopter and took off their head. I'm like, oh my gosh. I looked at her and I said, this isn't normal to have all these themes of people losing their heads. And she said, well, I'm realizing that, and I don't know how I didn't draw these conclusions myself, but I never believed in past lives, so I didn't really see that I could be related to it. But she says it gets even weirder. My daughter, when she was younger, around 6, she's 9 now, but the neighbor kid who was around 10 literally was chasing her around with an axe in the barn, trying to cut her head off. And it was a very serious situation. And I looked at her like, wouldn't that be one of the first things you would tell me? But the thing is, and this is why I'm bringing it up, doesn't it seem like it would be obvious that to her this would be so clear? the thing is that when we don't put the pieces together ourselves, our suffering mind just suffers. And I mean, these are very extreme circumstances, which makes it a great experiential story. You know, it's so extreme, talking about people losing their heads and family members losing their heads, and her child almost losing their head, and then having to even hear about a past life where her child lost her head. It sounds scary. The amazing thing is when you're getting a past life regression, God holds you in a very special place where when you can rest into the experience, which I believe all my clients come to me from God. It's almost like when a mommy kitty is holding the back of her kitten's neck in her mouth, right? And it looks like, oh my goodness, that looks so harsh. But the kitten becomes very docile, right? It's almost like it stills a nerve where the kitty lets go. And that is exactly a lot of what I experience with my clients is this trust and this beautiful letting go. And you can kind of tell in the way that I'm telling the story that the woman was very trusting of what I was saying. And I believe that I'm just this conduit for the Holy Spirit to speak words that somebody needs to hear at exactly the right time. The beautiful part of what I'm going to explain to you is that she really self-examined a behavioral pattern where she cuts people off in their life, in her life. She explained to me she cuts them off from finishing their sentences. She controls the conversation. She cuts off the energy. And she says, you know, I've been like that little kid who chased my daughter around. I cut people off in very severe ways. And so I breathed with her and I did some energy work. And we worked on calming her mind and bringing her into a state of willingness, really talking her into that place that God is a God of miracles. And even if we don't like who we've been, that we are always in a position to heal our lives. So this woman ended up telling me that they were on very extreme medication, antipsychotic medication. And when she said, what am I going to do? Am I always going to be on this? And I said, I can't speak to that, but my instincts is you're going to soften a lot. And as you realize the role that you've been playing throughout time and start to forgive yourself and forgive others and forgive your family tree, that you're going to be healed. But only you know, and only you can use your mind to really accept and allow the healings to come through that are going to come from this and through this. So give it back to God to heal. And ask for God to be an active participant in your life. Source energy, whatever it is. Creator, use your words, but hand it over to that higher power. This story has an amazing ending. That day, she really felt like she'd been healed. She told me that. And that is quite common. Once people see the past life, they see the sometimes the horror, I would say, but they see what has scared them or been their trip switch, their skip in the record. When they see it and they make peace with it, we actually, in a quantum physics way, we actually erase it from the timeline, depending on how self-forgiving that person is. And so we did that day, and she left telling me, I really believe I had a miracle today, Allie. And I said, well, stay in touch with your doctors and don't get off of any medication, but do the work. And we shared about Ho'oponopono and how you can continue to clear. The beautiful ending that I have to tell you is that About a month later, I got a letter in the mail where she told me the whole story of her healing. And she said that she literally was healed that day on the table of all of her depression, and that her little girl was too. Everybody's different. Everybody heals in different ways. So everyone's going to have a different outcome depending on, their capacity to let go and to let love in. But the beautiful message I have today is that past life regressions can bring you to pieces that you haven't been able to get to, that can explain behaviors and patterns that have kept you stuck. So I just invite you to connect with me. You can message me on YouTube. I'm going to leave my partner David's email if you'd like to schedule a session. And you can go to our community on Mighty Networks, and I'm going to leave the address for that. It's a free community, and I'm going to have a lot of juicy topics there that are psychic related, paranormal, and past life regression. David has a lot of beautiful meditation offerings, and we feel that between the two of us, using the otherworldly and the mystic side of things, combined with healing the mind, that we're in the business of miracles. So we invite you to continue to listen to our videos on YouTube by subscribing and liking the videos, because that will bring it up in the algorithm for other people who energetically need to find us. And I just want to thank you today for being with us, and I hope you'll join us in future videos.